girls, grab your beers.
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now here's your host.
I am Monty Heath, so one Heath, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio.
Fasten your seatbelts.
Sound the alarm. Incarceration Music and Tattoo Festival is back with Shinedown, Godsmack, Breaking Benjamin, Hailstorm, The Offspring, Chevelle, Bad Omens, Chimera, and so many more. Report to Historic Ohio State Reformatory this July 19th through 21st. 3 days of non-stop rock, tattoos, Blood Prison, Haunted House, and more. Passes on sale now at incarceration.com.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle. And real quick housekeeping note, if you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble or BitChute or Odyssey, please hit that follow and subscribe button. And if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple, Google, whatever podcast platform you utilize, please hit that follow and subscribe button so we can continue to bring you conversations like the one I'm bringing you today. We're talking with Miss Valerie Knox of the band The Anti-Queens. What's going on, Valerie?
Hello. Hello from Ontario, Ajax, Ontario. It's not that exciting.
Yeah, you're like kind of across the lake maybe from me. Or wait, Ontario's...
Yeah, you're off of Lake Erie, right? You're Cleveland?
Yeah. So...
Yeah, I'm off Lake Ontario.
Oh, okay.
I'm across from Rochester right now, actually.
Gotcha. Yeah, it'd be hard to skip a rock all the way over there then. But yeah, good to have you on. Usually when I have people on for the first time, I like to get a quick background.
Cool.
So originally, what did you want to be when you grew up?
When I was a kid, the first thing I can remember wanting to be actually was a marine biologist. I liked
awesome.
whales, and I liked whales a lot.
That's great because I had I think Tim from the band Soil on, and he wanted to be a marine biologist as well. So
nice.
You're the second.
I went through like a lot of phases though. At one point I wanted to be an astronomer, and I wanted to get into the sciences, and then I liked math a lot, and I like art a lot. It's probably a good thing I didn't do post-secondary because I probably would have regretted it because there's so many things I'm interested in.
Yeah, you're one of the few that actually like math, though. So
I do. I enjoy math so much. It's true.
Well, that comes in handy, I'm sure, when working on your band riders and making sure everybody got paid and everything, right?
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, thankfully, I don't actually really do that stuff anymore because we're on a label and they do a lot of the back office stuff. So that's great.
Yeah, that's good. That takes the pressure off. And you can just focus on playing the gig.
That's right.
And then like for what age was it where like, well, I'm sure like music's always been a part of your life, but when did you like kind of realize that was something you wanted to pursue, and who are some of your early influences?
So it's absolutely accurate. Music has been part of my life since I can remember, really. My dad played guitar constantly, but both my parents, big music fans, they were always listening to their classic rock and their country. My mom really liked this band called the Mavericks a lot. So naturally I rebelled against both and discovered punk rock. And that was great because yeah, they it's not what my parents liked. So there's only a little bit of classic rock I actually like. I like Pink Floyd is my number one. And then yeah, some singles here and there. And then but yeah, growing up though, my sister was a big influence. She got me into more alternative stuff. We're 8 years apart, so she's a bit older than me, and she was listening to like Nirvana and Green Day and The Cure when I was a kid, and I loved The Cure so much when I was a kid. And then yeah, I've been musical as it's like elementary school. You start learning recorder, and then you go to band. So I went to clarinet, and then from clarinet, I did like concert band in elementary school, and then in high school, did guitar class. Music as much as I could. I was in the choir at one point, and then I discovered punk rock and then started going to concerts. And then I'm like, yep, that's what I want to do. That's it right there. I think it was, who did I see? I want to probably Rancid or Bad Religion or Social Distortion. Were amongst the first bands I saw live. And I just like, this is awesome. I love this. And that's what I wanted to do.
Nice. And like, what was the music scene like up there by you when you started getting out and catching shows? And...
it was actually pretty good. We have, so I live in Ajax, Ontario, and we've got a few bands that have come out of Ajax, one being Sum 41, and then we had Not By Choice. There's another wicked band called Closet Monster that came out of Ajax, and some of the guys from that started a record label called Underground Operations, which just kept fueling more Canadian bands from the area. Protest the Heroes out of Durham region. We've got this region outside of the GTA called Durham region, and yeah, tons of bands have come out of there. And we had a wicked venue called The Dungeon in Oshawa, Ontario. And that's where I went to my first punk show, like my first DIY punk show. That's where I met my first band and met all my friends that I have today. And we would just go to each other's shows. We'd go to big shows that came through. We saw so many bands come through there. And the venue, unfortunately, died in 2007. It closed down. I got to play one of the last shows there. And then we have other venues in the area have come and gone, but it's not like it was. That Dungeon in the 2000s, the early 2000s, was such an iconic time for our region, for me anyway.
Oh yeah, you're bringing memories back here for me too. It's like Cleveland, we had this place called Peabody's, and and we've had a couple like small venues that some big bands would come play through back in the day, but it seemed like after COVID a lot of them died off.
Yeah.
And now it's like it's either your choices are like either Live Nation or the heck's the other one, I'm drawing a blank now, but AEG or whatever, and they own all the like House of Blues.
Yeah.
We still have the Agora, thankfully, but that's like AEG now. And but there's a couple smaller venues like the Foundry and No Class. They're trying to still keep it real around here. But yeah, I mean, so many places that I would be hanging out at. And then so then when you started, you said you got to play the Dungeon before they shut down. Like,
yeah.
What band was that with?
Oh gosh. Okay, so it's my first band. We've got a chain of music stores up here called Long and McQuaid, and I actually work for that company now. But back in the day, that's where we would go to get our instruments. They have a great financing program, so musicians who don't have money to drop on gear can finance it, and it's honestly a really super musician-friendly program. Anyways, I went there and I met my first bandmates there, and they were looking for a guitar player, and I said, I play guitar. I'll play in your band. So it was called Princess Riot, and one of the members actually went on to join Cradle of Filth for quite a few years. Her name's Lindsay Schoolcraft, and I was in a band with her. That was our first band together. And it's interesting. It's kind of fun that this is a Cleveland-based podcast, because when she was on tour with Cradle of Filth, I was on my first tour with the Anti-Queens. and we were both in Cleveland on our respective tours at the same day, at the same time. And I just texted her on a whim. I didn't even know she was there. And we're like, oh my God, you're here, you're here. So we went and met up, and they were playing House of Blues. So we went over and met up with her in Cleveland. That was pretty cool.
Nice. And where were you guys playing then?
Okay, so there's a cool spot. I don't know if it's cool or not. They were always great to us. It was a spot called Iggy's in Lakewood, Ohio.
Yeah.
It's like just outside of Cleveland, right?
Yeah. That's Iggy's was another one of the spots. We had the Fantasy nightclub that had the pirate ship in there. I don't know if you ever had the pleasure of playing there.
No, there's one venue you haven't mentioned yet that I have played.
Man, who am I drawing a blank on then right now?
I can tell you if you want.
Yeah, tell me.
I heard it closed, but there was a really cool spot called the Spitfire Saloon.
Oh, Spitfire.
Yeah. I actually played my very first American show ever at the Spitfire Saloon, and it was broadcast live on the internet.
Yeah, Stosh is a friend of mine that owns the place. It's called the Fun House now. They changed it.
Okay, so the building's still there.
Yeah, the building is still there. In fact, I don't know if you've seen any of those viral videos of the Taco Bell punk shows that have been happening in the parking lot of Taco Bell. You know, the Taco Bell that was next to Spitfire?
Yes, we ate there.
Yeah, there's been some breakout punk shows that have been going viral that in the parking lot of the Taco Bell there.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. We saw a guy was pulled over in the drive-thru at that Taco Bell one time. It was like late night after a show, and we're driving by. We're like, that guy's in the drive-thru with a cop behind him with the lights on. Like, he's getting pulled over in the drive-thru. It's funny.
Yeah, back during my drinking days before I made it home, that would be the place I'd pull into. You know, that's pretty funny though. Yeah, the Spitfire. They were. I liked it better when they were Spitfire. I mean, Funhouse is kind of fun. They don't really do the live, music there anymore.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It's more of like a circus-like setup type thing, you know.
Oh, well, I mean, it provides entertainment.
Yeah, and then so then you got attracted to the punk scene, like you were saying, and then you were in that. When did you come into Anti-Queens?
So between the first band and Anti-Queens, so the first band was called Princess Riot. It's funny that I ended up in a band called the Anti-Queens. I'm also in another band called Black Cat Attack, and Black Cat Attack toured quite a bit in the U.S. We're DIY horror-themed punk rock. We played Cleveland a bunch of times. But yeah, we would go on tour, and the Anti-Queens was a band I met, I want to say around 2012, maybe earlier. We crossed paths. We played a few shows together. I knew the girls at the time in the band, and they were the only band that wanted to go and tour the U.S. as well. So my band, Black Cat Attack, we took them down on their first U.S. tour, and that whole tour, my band, myself included, kept razzing them because they were a three-piece punk rock and roll band, and we're like, man, this band is so good. They just need that extra oomph on guitar. They need another guitar player. So the whole tour, we just kept chirping them like, you guys need another guitar player. Fill that sound out, and you guys are golden. And then later that summer, Emily came to one of my shows. She said, I think we are actually gonna start looking for another guitar player. We're gonna take your advice. And I said, oh my God, can it be me? I would love to play guitar for you. And the rest is pretty much history. I barged in, and I didn't plan it. But yeah, my band harassed them to get another guitar player, and they did. And then it was me.
Nice. You planted the seed on tour.
Yeah.
And then, so Black Cat Attack is still active then too?
We are and we aren't. So the thing about Black Cat is I'm in Anti-Queens, and we've got a big year ahead of us. So there's not a lot of time for me to have for Black Cat. And then one of our other members is actually Dave Brownsound from Sum 41, and he doesn't have a ton of time to work on Black Cat. And then one of our other we've got 3 guitar players. One of our other guitar players, Mike, he lives on the other side of the country in British Columbia on the side of a mountain. And then our bass player, Brian Dickface, he's gone to school and he's starting a new career. So basically, Black Cat right now is not totally defunct, but we are working on new stuff just at a really slow pace, just at a pace that works for everybody in the band.
Nice.
Yeah, and our drummer Ari, he's in a bunch of other projects. He's like ready to go all the time, so he just keeps himself busy with bands.
And then so you came on board with the Antiqueens, and you were saying you guys got quite a big year ahead.
Yes.
I mean, what else you got on the menu? I know we got an album that's getting ready to drop here.
Yep, our first album since 2019. We kind of got a shit end of the stick. We released our first album. It's just a self-titled in September 2019. We got a few months to tour it, and then we were stuck at home. So we just immediately started writing the next one. We started writing Disenchanted April 2020, and we've been working on it for literal years. So we're going to do our best to push this album and play as much as we can. And we've got a few festivals. We've got a West Coast Canadian tour. We're trying to get down to the US. We do have a couple shows, just a couple small club shows booked with some friends. There's one in Rhode Island, one in Massachusetts, and then there's one in Indianapolis. And I'm trying to actually get into Cleveland because Antiqueens have been to Cleveland a ton. So I'm hoping we can get back there this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got your email now. I know a few people, so I will definitely get you guys connected, because if you're going to go from, like, what'd you say, Rhode Island to like Indianapolis, I
think we're going to do it over I'm going to try and fill in the gaps and just go across, or we'll just do two separate times. It's not, they're a couple weekends apart. It's in August. They're not announced yet.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully I can connect you with some people, and
that would be really fantastic.
We'll fill that date in, because I definitely would love to check you guys out. And now that I'm sober, I'll remember, in case I was at one of those Spitfire shows back in the day, and just forgot. But
I think we played there twice. I think it was 2 times we got to play there. The first show, and then we played there again a second time, and then I think I can't remember when it closed down, but we started playing Iggy's in Lakewood, and they kept having us back, and they were great. They treated us so well, and they're just really nice people that ran the place.
And who is some of the local support that you guys have worked with?
So when we played Iggy's, who was it? There was a band called, I feel like they're called Black Dwagon. I'm not totally sure. It was a long time ago. We haven't been to the US since, our last tour was April 2019, I think. And then we did a couple scattered dates in 2019. And yeah, it's been a really long time. There was another one called American Werewolves that my other band played with.
Okay, yeah. Trevor is a good friend of mine.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool. Right on. Yeah. And then we've played with a band not from Cleveland, but we played with them there before, the Jasons.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so I think they're one of their members. I can't name names because their identities are protected, but one of their members is originally from Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah. I've been to a couple of their shows as well, but
they're some of my very, very good friends. It's some of our first friends in the U.S.
Well, I think, I'd have to talk to Samoa Rob, who owns the No Class now, and he's a member of the American Werewolves.
Oh, cool.
I'm trying to fit you guys in on a date, or Emma, who usually does the booking there. I'm sure that'd work out.
That'd be great.
Go great there, or the Foundry or something like that, I'm sure. So
cool.
We'll make something happen.
I feel like I've heard a few people mention No Class as one of the venues to play in Cleveland.
Oh yeah, Agnostic Front and Cro-Mags and stuff. That's usually the place they'll play when they come through too.
Cool.
So,
right on.
So get you there. Keep the punk rock alive there. For sure. And then so let's talk a little bit about Disenchanted. You guys said pretty much everybody got put on timeout in 2020 and sent home, and you guys made the most of it and just kept writing. Like how far back do a lot of these songs go, and how many were like influenced by like what you guys were experiencing during that time period?
It's that's a great question, honestly. There are a couple songs that are directly influenced by just being in isolation. The title track, Disenchanted, was originally called Overlife, and we just renamed it. But yeah, that one is directly our experience in the pandemic. It was just brutal, really really depressing, really like, just being stuck in one spot. And we had multiple lockdowns here in Ontario over the course of a couple of years, and there were 3 months at a time. And then even when things started opening up and restrictions were lifted, even then it was like limitations on everything out in the public. So it was really, really tough time, and it definitely influenced a lot of the songwriting for sure on this album. And then some of these songs go back right to April 2020. But we wrote close, I think, about 40 song ideas, and then fully developed 13 of them.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I remember everybody had it, all that uncertainty and stuff. But I remember seeing on some of the alternative news outlets I would watch, is just like how jacked up, it seemed to be up there, until the truck drivers tried, standing up for everybody up there. And then of course, they got, it's just nuts, man. I don't know if you're a big Trudeau fan. I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but
I don't think too many Canadians are fans of Trudeau. However, I don't really share that right-wing kind of rhetoric, all those fuck Trudeau signs. That's not really my style. I'm more like, let's see people get some things done and actually make a difference. And I really wish our government would stop doing the name calling and, just get to fucking work. That's what I would really appreciate.
Amen. Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way down here in the States, man. It's just a big clown show, man.
Honestly, I feel like both our governments right now are not doing super great.
I grew up like a professional wrestling fan, and I think it prepared me for politics, because it's you got the one side that you cheer for, going against the bad guy, or that you boo, but they all go back to the same locker room and get paid by the same people. You know?
Exactly.
And that's pretty much politics, man.
None of them are struggling to put gas in their car or food on their table. None of them are paying their entire income just to pay rent. You know what I mean? They're not struggling at all, which I feel like the majority of Canadians right now are they're on the deep end right now. It's not great. Could be worse.
Yeah.
But not great.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so I'm going through some of the titles on Disenchanted of some of the songs, and what do you have to say for the inspiration and message behind Doomed Again?
Doomed Again was it's funny. That is a song I wrote. I started writing the music to that one, and I came up with this cool lick and some chords. I put them together, made a chorus, and I put a placeholder title called Doomed Again, and I just sent it to Emily to see if she could come up with a melody, maybe some lyric ideas. And placeholder titles are never meant to be the inspiration of the song, and then it did end up being the inspiration of the song. And that one is basically just all the things that go wrong being in a band, because so many things have gone wrong, including putting an album out and only getting 5 months to tour it and promote it.
Well, hopefully we're going to get a lot more time to promote Disenchanted this time.
Yeah, definitely.
And now this is the first one with what is it, on Stomp Records?
No, this is actually our second full-length album on Stomp Records. Our first one was self-titled back in 2019, and then this is our sophomore LP on Stomp Records.
Okay, so so the previous one was on Stomp also?
Yeah. There are two EPs that the Anti-Queens put out before I was in the band. Those are just self-released.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was going down the rabbit hole on YouTube, and I seen some all right, 10 years ago, and I was like, wow, all right, they've been
it's been a long time
for a while here. Yeah.
It's crazy because they were a band for quite a few years before I joined, and I've been in the band almost 9 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, time flies.
Yeah, it does, for sure. And then what I think the current single is Crusade.
Yes.
Is that the current one you guys are?
Yeah, we just dropped that last week on Wednesday, and yeah, super stoked.
And what's the message with that song?
So that one was totally inspired. Just the Truth and Reconciliation movement in Canada is basically acknowledging the Indigenous communities across the country. And over the last couple of years, we've been watching in horror as unmarked mass graves are discovered behind these residential schools. And we're learning a lot about the practices of these institutions that were put into place by the Canadian government and the church, basically to wipe out Indigenous culture. That was the point of it. It was to assimilate Indigenous children. They were taken against their will in a lot of cases and put into these schools, basically to assimilate them to Western white culture. And this is the fucked up thing is that we all grow up, I'm sure in the US as well, we all learn about World War II. We all learn about the Holocaust. We all learn about how we have to learn from these instances or we're doomed to repeat them, right? What we didn't learn were about these residential schools and what was actually happening. It wasn't taught to us. It wasn't part of our curriculum. I come from the public school system, and it's humbling to realize how uninformed we are and how much is kind of being hidden from us, or information is not being divulged to us. And it should be, because this is where we live, and our history is important, and recognizing the Indigenous cultures that were here long before any of us were, and respecting it. And we weren't taught that. We were minor projects in school about Indigenous communities in the land, but not Canada's role in trying to eradicate the culture and steal the land and push them out, and so we can move in. So it was just us wanting to use the small platform we have to say, hey, look at that, because no one told us to look at that.
Man, and there's like so much that our governments have in common. It's not really that good.
Nope,
like,
it's not.
The history that we're not taught, like they say, the history is written by the victors or whatever,
Pretty much. Yeah. But, I mean, we're only just getting Indigenous peoples in our government in the last, I think, couple of years. Not totally sure, but I know that they haven't had a huge presence in our government, and they haven't had a voice in our government. And there are still parts of Canada that don't have access to clean drinking water. And they don't have access to healthcare and mental health care and just prenatal care, all of it. They don't have these things that the rest of us do have access to, and it just doesn't sit right with us. So we're just trying to signal, like, hey, we're allies, and this is where we stand. This is our line in the sand, and hopefully more people can educate themselves and inform themselves, and hopefully live life moving forward with a little bit more compassion to all of our communities.
Yeah,
that's the idea.
Like they like to keep us, fat, happy, and distracted, but there's so much, injustice going on today, I mean, and looking back at, like our history is very much the same. I mean, we came over and, the Native Americans here, barely, we'll give you this casino and this little plot of land, but, and then,
here's this plot of land that you originally owned, but we're going to give it to you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fucked up.
And if that don't work, here's some blankets to, keep you warm.
Yeah. See, that's just, I don't even think that was taught to us.
No,
it's like, it's just completely whitewashed.
Your own information. That's what I like about, alternative media sources. People call it, whatever they want, but it's like, who's going to, the corporate owned media is not going to tell us the truth. They're going to tell us what the handlers want us to know,
They're going to tell, yeah, for sure. And it's good to have a healthy distrust in the media, but also critical thinking is super important as well. And being able to think for yourself and educate yourself and inform informed opinions. So that's what we're just trying to do in terms of Crusade is, just informing ourselves and then sharing the information that we learn and say, hey, maybe we look at it this way, because I don't know about you, but I grew up being taught that Canada had a reputation for being good, for being prosperous, for being, leaders on the world stage that promoted peace and kindness. And, we always say we're sorry, and that's totally true. But it just seems as I get older and learn these things that it's a farce, and it just seems kind of like a lie. So I guess this is just us trying to, say, hey, bullshit.
Yeah. Anything that can get people to think for themselves is definitely, we need more of that. They say common sense isn't as common anymore,
Definitely not.
But
and it's wild. What's interesting about that is because absolutely true, there's more access to stupidity now, which is wild because we have so much access to information, valid information out there, and communication to talk with other people and form opinions and learn from each other. And we're just not advancing the way that I feel like we should be by now in 2024.
Not when you can watch, somebody, fall off a skateboard and hurt themselves, or, the little TikToks of somebody, like the jackass Johnny Knoxville type stuff or whatever, nobody who wants to learn something,
I mean, I love learning. I also love entertainment and creativity. I'm a fan of all these things. Anything that makes you use your brain, I'm a fan of. So whatever that outlet is for anyone, I'm going to support it. But I mean, we need to, utilize the tools that we have now and hopefully move forward in a more positive, more accepting kind of way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, attention spans have gotten shorter, so it's like you got to figure out a way to get your point across, or at least intrigue and hook people in like 5 minutes or less,
Yeah.
And there's a guy I follow called Greg Reese. He does this thing called the Reese Report, and he always backs everything up with, where he got the information from. I forget what that. I'm slipping on references and all that stuff, And his videos are very like eye-opening, but they're like 5 minutes or less, So it's like I always try and share those with my friends with short attention spans, and then they come back at me with something. They still come back with an excuse if they're not ready to learn. You lead horse to water, like they say.
That's the thing, though. You can only share so much. If someone doesn't want to move in that direction, they're not going to, and you can't make them. So and this is where, in my opinion, critical thinking comes in is, choose your battles and save your energy for people that are going to enhance your own views and your own processes.
Yeah, I agree. And then going back to Disenchanted, the song Love's Heavy Burden stuck out to me as well. Would you like to share that inspiration behind that?
Oh my God, that's one of my favorites on the album. Emily wrote that one. And when she showed it to us, I was like, yep, this song is all the feels. That one's, so that one we ripped the title directly from Shakespeare. That is a line from Romeo and Juliet. The song uses the word suicide in it poetically. So we can't really have that as a title. We didn't feel like it was appropriate, so we opted to change the title. But it is basically just about a failing love and recognizing it and going through the motions, and it's a really heartfelt song that hits me in the feels every time, even however many years we've been playing it and listening to it. It's just great songwriting on Emily's part.
Yeah, for sure. And then so with, you said there's a lot of things haven't been announced yet. You guys are working on tour to get out and start promoting the album, and the album comes out the 17th of this month, correct?
May 17th. It's still April technically.
Oh yeah. You're right. Yeah, May 17th. You're
Oh,
right.
I guess this is, you know what? I just fucked up because like this isn't even going to air today. So
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah.
yes, it does come out on the 17th of this month.
Yes.
We're very excited. We're going to be releasing it at Pouza Fest in Montreal, where we will be playing a lot of the songs off that album.
Now, out of all the songs that you have been a part of with this new album, is there one in particular that you're looking forward to the most playing live for a audience?
Well, I was really looking forward to Crusade because that one musically is so fun to play. It's very fast and aggressive, and it's just really heavy and driving, and I don't have to sing a lot in it, so I can just rock out. But we've been playing that one for a couple months now, and it is super fun. I'm very excited to start playing a song called Apocalypse She on the album. It's a feminist anthem, and it's a fasty is what I call it, a fasty. I'm very excited. I love my fast punk rock. Nice.
And another one that caught my eye I wanted to ask you about. Tell me about Dirty Girl.
Dirty Girl is just a sassy song. Just an opportunity to be sassy and have some fun with being a woman and going through life as either a single lady. There's not really a lot of emotional connection to that one. It's just a fun, moody song. We do it in 6/8 time, and so it's got that kind of swing to it. It's kind of low key, but it gets heavy, and it's got one of my favorite solos on the album that I wrote.
Nice. And then so for updates then, when you guys are ready to make some announcements, where would you tell the fans to go look?
Oh, we're everywhere. We utilize Facebook and Instagram the most, but we do have a Twitter or X account. I don't know. I don't use Twitter. Emily is the one that is on Twitter, usually fighting with people. She likes to get sassy with people when they come at us with some hot takes. But yeah, we're on YouTube, we're Instagram, we're on TikTok. We do the TikTok. Nice. Is that how the kids say it? The TikTok?
Yeah, the TikToking.
Yeah, so we post clips everywhere we can, just trying to get to as much of our audience as we can for whatever generation. Because I find apps are very generational. Like Facebook is like your boomers and your millennials and your Gen Xers. And then Instagram is your millennials and Gen Zers. And then TikTok is just Gen Z with a few millennials who get it, or who know how to use it.
I'm so old. I was a MySpace OG. You know?
I had a MySpace. Have you been to MySpace lately? It's a disaster. It's still there.
I miss the original MySpace, and I wish I wouldn't have locked myself out because I had so many probably pictures I don't want to see anymore, but still, those memories, and I was actually like anti-Facebook, but I was during my last deployment, I was getting ready to come home, and a lot of the people I served with were like, man, you got to get on Facebook so we can keep in touch, because everybody was scattered through the US. And I was like, all right. And I signed up, and, we've regretted it ever since. But
I mean, Facebook specifically is a great tool for communication and keeping in touch with people that, live further away. I find that that's a great way to, share photos, share ideas, message people. Whereas Instagram and all the other apps are very image fueled, right? Yeah. But I feel like that's why Facebook did so well, is because of the ability to stay in touch with each other. And you can totally control Facebook too, and who sees your posts. And it's pretty easy to navigate that. So I love Facebook specifically for that. I wish I hadn't just like added so many people. I think I've got like 3,000 people because I didn't know how algorithms worked, and I thought people were requesting my friendship because they were fans of my band. And it's not. I just show up on their recommended for you, and they just hit it, and they have no idea who I am, and I should probably.
It's usually dudes, right? Anytime
a lot of dudes. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah. Anytime they see an attractive woman profile, you may know her. Oh, hey,
It's funny. Sometimes I'll try to put like really unattractive photos. Like if I'm on stage and I'm all sweaty and gross and my hair is like everywhere. But I have a pit now, so I don't actually approve just anyone's unless I know them personally already. So if I get friend requests, I have on the top of my Facebook page, pinned to the top, says, hey, if you want to be my friend on here, that's great, but you have to like this post. Then I know you're a real person and I'll add you.
Yeah.
So there's rules now. I don't add just everyone, and so many dudes. Oh my God.
Yeah, and the unfollow button became my friend too, because like you said, everybody kind of, you know, it's meant to be like staying connected with people that you have relationships with and sharing, you know, I guess joys of life. You know, a lot of us will, you know, only post our best moments. You know, no one posts when they're having a shit day or shit time. But
speak for yourself. I complain all the time on Facebook.
Oh yeah, I mean, I started just keeping it real, you know, and I was like, and then I've actually, you know, more friends appreciate that, you know. It's like I try and tell my daughters, it's like, look, man, everybody's putting their Cinderella story on there, but you don't see all the hard work behind that, you know.
It's true, and I keep saying this is that and this relates so much to the music industry and performance. Is people don't want to see a choreographed performance. They want to see something authentic and genuine. They want to see you fuck up. You know what I mean? They want to know that you're real people. And I think that applies to social media as well. They want to see you being a real person because that's how we're all going to connect, right? If being able to see each other on our good days and our bad days. And that just applies so much to performance in, I guess, any industry. But, you know, you're getting to know somebody. If you want to support them, you want to know who you're supporting, right? So that's why with the Annie Queens and on our personal pages and our social media pages, we won't hesitate to share opinions. We won't hesitate to laugh at ourselves or make self-deprecating jokes or, you know, jokes at each other, at our friends' bands. We just like to keep it authentic and real and fun, of course.
Yeah, and that's the best way for sure. I, you know, like I said, I was explaining to my daughters, like, you know, everybody's just going to post their best because they start getting depressed. Oh, so-and-so did this and so-and-so. And it's just like, you know,
real life's not like that.
Real life isn't like that, you know? And like you were saying, I mean, we got so divided, at least here in the United States. And I think it's probably the same, like we were talking earlier with politics and everything. It's just like, you know, and you're not going to win an argument, you know, you're not going to sway somebody's opinion by like, you know, just typing it. You know, it's like we try and come to the table and find our common ground and have conversations like humans. But then you got the cancel culture out there shutting you down. And then you got, you know, and I was just like, you know what? My friendship with this person is more valuable to me than being right. So I might not like what they're posting. I can just scroll by and
absolutely.
Go about my day, you know,
I think it's important that, you know, if you're not sharing opinions or views or whatever that is directly hurting anyone and it's solely just what you're thinking and feeling, then that's fine. You know what I mean? Like everyone is entitled to their own opinion. And again, as long as no one's getting hurt because of it, I mean, you might not like it. That doesn't mean it's hurting you. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but like, not everyone is always going to agree on everything. And that's kind of the beautiful thing about being people, being humans, is we're all different. We've all got our own processes and we've all got our own morals and ethics. And, you know, they're not always going to align with everybody, but that doesn't mean that you can't find common ground elsewhere. So I'm a real positive person in that sense. I try to find the best, even if I disagree.
Exactly. I try and be the same way, but you know, I mean, I'll admit, you know, sometimes trolling can be fun, you know, but I've worked on that quite a bit. Yeah.
My favorite is I love trolling misogynists, and I'll do it in person to their faces, and it's great. Oh my God. It's a sport.
Everything in person is usually better. So they seem to have a culture of like keyboard warriors and stuff, but you know, would you really be willing to say that to somebody in person? I don't know.
Honestly, everything you see me put on the internet, I will say in person. I will say to your face.
well, that's keeping it punk rock. So I love
Absolutely.
it. You know? And then that's another reason why it's like I like having these kind of conversations on the podcast too, because like you were saying, it's like we can just sit there and just talk about, you know, the album and the writing and playing the live shows, which, you know, it is part of my job, I guess, you know, to help. That's how I get these conversations. But like you said, fans want to know that you're a real person. Fans want to know, like, you know, what kind of shit did Valerie have run into and overcome, and how did she do it? You know, because your fans are gonna, you know, they might be going through that same shit right now.
Exactly.
You know, and then to hear that, wow, Valerie, you know, did this and this, and look at where she's at today. You know,
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that everything is like, you know, peaches and cream, you know, but you learn from it. You went through it. You know, I look at things like, because I'm in recovery, I'm 15 years sober now, you know, and I look at a lot of the crap I went through. And when some of my friends are in the middle of it, I'd be like, well, maybe I went through it so you don't have to. Let me tell you what I did, you know?
Absolutely.
But like you said, it's up to them what they're going to do with it, you know?
It's honestly, there's nothing more powerful than human connection and just sharing experiences, because you're absolutely right. You don't know who that's going to help. And even if you share something and you help just one person, that's one person who might not have gotten that help. I've always been pretty open about mental health, specifically on my own personal social media pages, because I know what it's like to feel alone, and I know what it's like to fall into that hole where you don't think there's anything else going on around you that's, you know, it's going to make you feel worth it, right? So it's important to communicate with each other and share. And, you know, I think the more we do that, the more empathy we can incite in others.
I agree 100%. You know, I'm, like I said, I'm in recovery, and, you know, I've struggled with anxiety and PTSD from, you know, my time in the military and some childhood stuff that I dealt with. And I'm very open about it on here. And this is like therapy for me. I do this more to, you know, I'm glad I get to tell people all about, you know, Valerie Knox and the Anti-Queens, but I'm you know, this is helping me talking to you right now. You know, this has been part of my journey. So
yeah. And honestly, finding punk rock and music and writing and performing and traveling has helped me so much, because that's where I feel like I'm meant to be doing this, and nothing else of any of my interests, nothing else has ever made me feel that way. So I know what you feel. I know how you're feeling anyway.
Yeah. And then, like, if you could send a message back to your like 12-year-old self, what would that be?
Probably don't take it to heart when people criticize you, because that is, every time someone criticizes you and you spend too much time thinking about it and like putting yourself down over it, that's time wasted. That is wasted time. That's not serving you. It's not serving them. It's not serving anyone. So, but I mean, these are lessons that have to be lived. They can't be learned.
Yeah, exactly. And then before we get ready and wrap up, I want to ask you a couple of the questions that I normally ask my guests. You've mentioned a lot of the, you know, early influences you've had and some of the bands that you've worked with and everything, but who would, and I know this is a tough one for musicians, but who are your top 3 musical artists?
Well, number 1, always and forever, the Misfits.
Nice.
I love the Misfits, and that's a band that I don't know about you, but I go through phases with bands. Sometimes I really like a band and then I kind of get over it, and then I'll come back to a favorite album, or, you know what I mean? I'm in and out. Misfits is one that has been constant, and like, I don't know if you...
Yeah, I see it.
And it's gotten to the point where I started a Misfits tribute band. I sing Glenn Danzig era Misfits. So Misfits, definitely a big one. Man, honestly, it might be cliche, especially as a woman, but Distillers were a really, really big influence. They it is Brody Dow, obviously, because when I was growing up, getting into punk rock, aside from Joan Jett, there weren't a lot of really tough punk rock women that were singing with growly voices and like singing about drugs and like singing about, you know, punk rock stuff. I don't know. It was great. And it was kind of eye-opening. So I got to hand it to the Distillers specifically. And then from there, I mean, I was just actually talking about this on my Facebook page, is another band from Canada called Die Mannequin. We recently lost the singer, a care failure, last year. And that was a band that I would be like getting up in the morning, my radio alarm would go off and I'd hear them on the radio, like as a teenager and early 20 something. And, you know, it was really awesome having such a fierce front woman from Toronto, from my scene. And when I got more familiar with them, I started seeing them. They were at shows. They were working at the bars in Toronto, and I oh my God, this band, if you've never heard of them, you got to check them out.
All right, definitely check it out. And I'm looking forward to Misfits are going to be playing at Sonic Temple Festival here in Columbus, Ohio, you know, in just a couple weeks. So I'm looking forward to that reunion. I've
actually never seen the Misfits, not once. And
yeah, this will be my first time too. So the original version.
Yeah, I would see Danzig is. I heard he's an asshole from some people. I heard he's great from other people, but like, I don't know if he's one of the heroes you want to meet or not. But oh man, I would just love to pick his brain, because I am almost certain that guy grew up listening to like Frank Sinatra and Elvis. Those, I think he had to have been. He loves to croon, and if he didn't start a punk band, I'm sure he'd probably have like a Las Vegas lounge show. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Anyways.
I got to see him when they came through town last, and it was like a strict rule with no like photos or videos and stuff. So security was like really cracking down on that. But from what I heard from my friends that worked the venue, because they're, you know, it was like, oh, well, it's Danzig, you know, it's, you get, you know, you can't record him. But from what I heard from my friends that worked the venue, that he was like super cool to
Awesome.
talk to and stuff backstage. So, you know, I guess just not much for, you know, photos, but, you know,
I think he's
be
just
in
a
the
little
moment, I
scrappy,
guess,
you know? He gets fighty. He gets scrappy, like he's kind of fighty sometimes. And I think and that just kind of comes with the territory, you know? But I mean, when Metallica are some of your best friends, it's not a lot to worry about, I feel like.
Exactly. And then we were talking about, you know, like things that we weren't taught and things that we've had, you know, had to learn on our own. But what class do you feel should be mandatory before graduating high school today?
I actually have two. I have two qualms with the public school system in Ontario anyway. And one is our own history, and not just the good stuff, not just the times when we were heroes, but also, you know, the stuff that we need to learn from Indigenous, the treatment of the Indigenous communities throughout history in Canada. And then also learning how to do your fucking taxes. That should be taught in school. Yeah,
that's the number one I get all the time.
Why am I taught to mathematically draw a parabola, a V, on a graph? Why do I need that?
Yeah.
Why do I need that?
What do you use that for? Yeah.
I use it for nothing.
But if you figured out how to handle your money, you wouldn't be giving it all back to the government half the time. So
precisely. You know? So I mean, it would be great though if they taught a little bit more real world things, or at least update it, you know, because we're in a time where we can do almost anything ourselves now. We don't need to hire people to do our taxes for us. We should be able to do it ourselves. And you know, it's there's like there was a brief unit in one math class where you learned about mortgages. I couldn't tell you anything about it. I'm never going to be able to own a house anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But taxes, how they work, where they go, how to file your own taxes would all be very, very beneficial to every citizen growing up in this country, and probably yours too.
Agreed. And then who are 3 people who've inspired you and you can credit for making you the person you are today?
Oh man, I got to give it up to my boy Dave Brownsound. He joined my band Black Cat Attack, and I just had to become a better guitar player to keep up with him, because the other guys in my band, they're very talented. Brian Deface on bass has always been very talented, but our style was catered more to my abilities. And then when Dave joined, he made us all step up, and I felt like that was such a huge influence in not only how I write songs and produce my own songs, but also my playing abilities, my singing abilities. Another one, is this people actually in our life or just anyone?
I mean, yeah, anyone.
Okay, so number 2, Gwen Stefani. Gwen Stefani, because I grew up listening to Tragic Kingdom, and that's pretty much where I learned how to sing. I loved that album when I was like a kid. I was probably like 11 or 12, I think. I can't remember. Yeah, about 11 or 12, 13 when Tragic Kingdom came out. That song, Don't Speak, was on the radio everywhere. And it was such a beautiful song. And I loved her voice. And I loved all the things that she could do with her voice. So I would try to replicate Gwen Stefani. And that's how I can go like that, like the vibrato. And I tell people all the time that Gwen Stefani taught me how to sing. She's crazy talented. I saw a No Doubt set at Coachella. Wow. That woman jumped for an entire song and didn't miss one single note. Just jumping an entire song, up and down, just jumping. And she sang the entire song doing that. Like, what a crazy force. And then honestly, just my bandmates are huge inspirations. Emily Bones with her songwriting. Wow. She blows me away, honestly, with her ability to write lyrics that can just get you right in the heart every time, or make you think, or just, she's so good at telling a story in her songwriting. And then Michael Cressy, oh my God, he's just like such an amazing musician. He can play anything, and he's got all the theory. He knows all of that. I'm not a theory person. I'm a punk rocker. I learned power chords and then went from there, just like any other respectable punk rock guitar player. But this guy, what? There's no instrument he can't play. There's no harmony he can't find. There's no scale he doesn't know. And I'm just surrounded by some of the most talented people, and I just feel really, really blessed about that.
Awesome. And then, I mean, we've talked about, some of the things that, you've really been inspired by, motivated with, Crusade and everything. But are there any causes or organizations that you support and encourage others to check out?
Oh man, there's we actually did link a couple pages, Instagram pages that have access to resources on the Crusade link. What was it called? I can't remember what it's called. But there's so many organizations that are around. There's one in Toronto called Maggie's House, and that is all about helping women and other persons that experience sexual violence and in the sex industry. There's, you know what? Hang on 1 second. I want to get some of these out because off the top of my head, I don't have them memorized. But we had to do a lot of research for Crusade specifically, and we had to inform ourselves and come up with or find organizations that we would want to support on the platform. And we felt like it was kind of an obligation, something we wanted to do. Not like, oh, we gotta do this. Not like that. I mean, we wanted to, and we felt like it was the right thing to do. So give me 1 second. I'm just gonna look it up if you don't mind. We Matter is one. 1 second. Sorry, while I'm looking this up.
Well, while you're looking that up, I'll ask you the next question then.
Perfect.
Favorite toy as a child?
Favorite toy? my gosh, I can't even. Oh man, you know what I loved doing? So I had Barbies, totally had Barbies, but I also had Ninja Turtles, and I would make them fight.
Nice.
I loved my Ninja Turtles and my Barbies. I loved both. And Michelangelo was my favorite Ninja Turtle because he liked to skateboard and eat pizza.
Nice.
Okay, so give me one sec here.
And the Barbies were like kind of like Charlie's Angels and were able to kick Ninja Turtles' ass, or what?
Yeah, they just look good doing it, you know? Like they had the nice hair, they had cool outfits. You know, I've got qualms with that as well. It sucks that growing up in the 90s, you know, my toys were Barbies, and even the superheroes, they're all like really thin, you know? I was always a bigger kid growing up, and it was kind of shitty to have pressure like that put on you. It's like being so young and being like, this is what you're supposed to look like when you grow up, just so you know. I don't know. That kind of rubs me the wrong way as an adult. But I mean, I still had fun.
Gotcha.
But yeah. Toronto Indigenous Harm Reduction. That's an Instagram account that has a link tree posted to it with all kinds of amazing resources, including but not limited to the Native Art Society online. There's an emergency relief fund for Gaza in there. There is all kinds of programs for helping Indigenous communities in the region. There's some art stuff. There's Pride links here to support the LGBTQ community. All of these things are important to us because we are all part of being here. So it's important that we are promoting and lifting where we can the communities that need it and the communities that could maybe use a little bump from their white allies. There's no easy way to say that, but that it is what it is. And we're doing our best to inform ourselves and, you know, share and use our platform to inform and share links and resources, and we'll get better at it.
And then for any of the people out there that might be new to hearing about you guys and want to like, you know, check you out for follow along and get the updates for when the tour announcements and stuff come, where is there a website that you want to send them to? Or
oh my gosh, I forgot we do have a website. It's theantiqueens.com. And most of our stuff, though, most of our updates are going to come from our Instagram, if I'm being entirely honest. Every time we post on Instagram, it immediately goes to Facebook. So Instagram and Facebook are usually the go-tos, but we try to share all over our different platforms.
Awesome. Well, Valerie, it's been great talking with you. I'm glad we were able to still make this happen after my snafu for getting to send the links.
No sweat.
But at least I figured it out down to the wire. We got it done.
We sure did.
And yeah, I'll be in touch to hopefully connect you with some people so we can get a Cleveland date on that. That
would be fantastic.
That's yet to be announced.
Awesome.
And then one last favor before I let you go. You mind cutting a promo ID for the show? Just introduce yourself, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Right now?
Yeah.
This is Valerie Knox from the Anti-Queens, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Awesome. Valerie, thank you so much for your time. It was great talking to you, and hopefully we'll connect when you come through Cleveland.
I would love that. It's great conversation. I'm such a fan of good conversation and just talking to different people. And I love that about this gig is just all the different people we get to meet and talk to. And it's one of my favorite things about being a musician.
Yeah, I like I said, this is just as good for me too, man. It helps me so much on my journey. And hopefully we'll get, you know, if we get that set up, we'll get Trevor and the American Werewolves on the bill with you guys.
Very cool.
All right, you take care.
Same. Take care.
Bye.